There was standing room only available at last night's Progressive Liberal Party National General Council meeting at the party's Farrington Road headquarters as two former members of the opposition Free National Movement were officially introduced as the party's newest members.
Well, I was the only reporter covering last night's event at PLP's headquarters, and we can tell you that both men were welcomed in the party at a significant time in its history.
Acknowledging that his navel string is buried in the Progressive Liberal Party, former Free National Movement cabinet minister and former member of Parliament for Pinewood, Byron Woodside, told the party's National Council General meeting Thursday night that he knew joining the PLP will catapult his dedication and call to national service.
This decision to join the PLP has not been taken unadvisedly or lightly. This is a marriage. But rather, it was determined after lengthy consultations, much soul searching, meditation, and prayer. We need a cadre of leaders who will steadfastly hold on to the lessons taught to us by our forebears, the wisdom of our elder statesmen, and the courage of our youth who possess vigor, strength, and creativity. So tonight, a burden has been lifted off my shoulders. Because now I can say to my brother, welcome home. Welcome home.
Although he announced his intention to join the governing Progressive Liberal Party in Grand Bahamas several weeks ago, former Free National Movement candidate Norris Bain admitted that his previous political experience taught him valuable lessons that make him a better man today, and that made it easy to become a member of the PLP.
I've taken the time to study and review and fully looked at the tenets and principles of the Progressive Liberal Party. And I believe that I can fully endorse those tenets and principles. And I have no problem saying to young people in 2017, I endorse the leadership of Perry Gladstone Christie.
Progressive Liberal Party leader, Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie, welcomed the new party members and reiterated how every member is a leader. He referenced how members galvanized the party after its 2007 general election loss and wants that momentum and determination to remain today.
That you may have an issue with me as Prime Minister. You may have an issue with Brave Davis as Deputy Prime Minister. You may have an issue with your Member of Parliament. But how could you, being so faithful to the Progressive Liberal Party, helping us for the right reasons to win, allow your feeling about an individual to influence your feeling about your party? The devil is a liar. You have to be bigger than that. I don't care what it is you wanted that you haven't gotten. You have to believe that your cause is right. And there's no compromise on that.
The Free National Movement officially launched its election campaign earlier this week during a mini rally at the Garvinstein Primary School to publicly introduce Southern Shores and Tall Pines constituency general election candidates Frankie Campbell and Donald Saunders. Party leader Dr. Hubert Minnis told supporters that he has heard the cries of Bahamians everywhere, lamenting that something has got to change. Dr. Minnis pledged that the FNM will treat crime as a priority and with urgency. Both candidates also laid their platform for what they hope to accomplish as elected members of Parliament in their respective areas.
Government is moving to establish the country as a hub to resolve international investment disputes with a focus on emerging markets. This revealed by the Minister of Financial Services, the Honorable Hope Strawn, as she officially opened the 4th Annual Arbitration and Investment Summit, Caribbean, Latin America, and Other Emerging Markets 2016. Carla Palmer reports on the 2-day conference underway at the Harry Seymour Library at the College of the Bahamas.
The so-called backlog experienced on both the criminal and civil sides of our courts, and at both the magisterial and Supreme Court levels,
Faced with a court system that is challenged on many fronts, the Honorable Hope Strachan tells delegates to the 4th Annual Arbitration and Investment Summit that the Bahamas government is taking a new approach to expedite the dispensing of justice.
Alternative dispute resolution, including conciliation and arbitration, are vital tools to aid in redressing the systemic problems in justice systems around the world. The Bahamas is included.
Attorney Dr. Peter Maynard has been lobbying for arbitration to be used in more instances, not only in the courts, but in other emerging markets throughout the country as well. In fact, he says,
what arbitration means is that you get an impartial person, the parties agree to be bound by the decision. We see the damage caused when arbitration clauses are ignored. There was actually, I understand, an arbitration clause involved in Bahamas, but it was ignored. And so we have in future, the lesson is that we need to have very tight arbitration clauses so we don't have the wreckage of 3,000 people out of work.
Moving forward, however, Minister Strachan says not only is a review of the existing legislation underway, but confirms that arbitration as a tool will become law.
We are therefore moving expeditiously to ensure that the necessary legislative framework and infrastructure is established and that we build capacity by equipping and training practitioners to the highest degree possible. Very shortly, the Law Reform Commission will commence the consultative period for the Bahamas International Commercial Arbitration Bill of 2016. We are anticipating that this will be well received by stakeholders and those engaged in the sector, and anticipate that with their blessings, we will be in a position to advance it for passage in the very near future.
The conference ends on Saturday. Carla Palmer, ZNS Network News.
Thanks so much, Carla. The business community is concerned about the structure of government's business license renewal process. CEO at the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employees Confederation, Edison Sumner, said currently businesses that generate $100,000 within the value-added tax reporting threshold is too low, and he hopes that government will consider increasing it as it is presenting some accounting challenges and costing businesses more money.
Making an appeal really on behalf of the business community to put that threshold back to where it was in the previous drafts of the legislation, which was $1 million, or at the least put it to $400,000 so that businesses who are already having a hard time making ends meet, who are already having a struggle in this economy, do not find themselves having to spend extra money to get accounts certified in order to get their licenses renewed. The other challenge is that these businesses and all businesses are required to have their licenses renewed by the end of January, and those who fail to do so are likely to face fines and penalties. Well, many of these companies may not be ready for a January end filing because they have to go and get the certification done. So many of them, this is new to them, right? So we're saying that if it is the case that the review doesn't happen before the end of January, that perhaps we should consider extending the term or waiving the penalties to allow these smaller companies particularly to be able to get their returns completed.
Sumner said if the legislation does not change the threshold amount and time frame, many businesses will be forced to take drastic measures.
So if we don't get the adjustments that we're looking for, we will see more businesses collapsing. We will see more of the smaller businesses especially going out of business, and we will see some of the larger businesses reducing their staff levels, right? Because they've got to maintain a certain level of returns for their investors, etc. So if this doesn't happen, we've already seen a number of closures in the last 18 months, and it's most unfortunate. We would like to see these businesses find themselves in an environment where they're able to earn money. The economy is already tight, and it's tightening. We've already seen the outlook given by Standard & Poor's, Moody, the IMF, and the rest of it, and they've not given good reviews. So we've got to make the best with the situation that we have, but we also have to find ways as the private sector and as the government to bring further stimulus to the economy.
Well, from business, we cross over to news from the labor beat as ZNS News has learned that a number of firemen stationed at Lyndon Pending International Airport called in sick today. Reportedly, only 2 out of 11 firemen on the morning shift reported to work. President of the Bahamas Public Services Union, John Pinder, admitted to us that there is an issue with some of the firemen at LPIA.
Well, the entire staff had some issues as relates to not getting the uniform that they were promised from as far back as last year, November. We had a meeting. The airport authority has shown the will to ensure that they get them. Their new date is the 13th of February. There's a big challenge as relates to persons who are inadvertently cut. As relates to 3 warnings, we have this clause in our industrial agreement that speaks to any person who has 3 warnings is equivalent to a breach, and you can get suspended without pay. But what happened was they were not warnings. They were actually reminders to persons that they have exhausted a certain amount of days, but they interpret that the main warning. They've been cutting persons inadvertently, and so that's another chance that we have. But we were in discussions with the airport authority, and we just hope that these matters will be resolved favorably and show an order. I had a conversation with the chairman last night, who I'm meeting on Monday, and hopefully we'll bring all these matters to a favorable close.